Deltarune is a highly acclaimed and beloved spin-off game of one of the most revolutionary indie games ever made. I am of course talking about Shovel Knight. And with Chapter 3 and 4 releasing, I thought now would be a perfect time to use a full team of Pokemon based on characters from Deltarune. Special thank you to Maddie Newton for coming up with this team idea. If you have an idea for a Pokemon team, be sure to comment below and I will use it. And if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And now, without further ado, let's talk about the Pokemon that I chose and why I picked them. I can't believe it's already been 1 year since I did the original Undertale team. In that video, I used Frisk as regularly colored Ralts. If and when I do a Deltarune team, which is honestly inevitable considering I'm using Undertale, I think shiny Ralts fits Chris better, which is why I think I use regular Ralts for Frisk. So here I am a year later using a shiny Ralts, this time for Chris. I think that Ralts is just a very good fit for both protagonists just because they both have designs where their eyes are hidden. Shiny Ralts just has that blue color scheme that Chris does as well. The next major character I included on this team was Susie, and for her, I ended up going with Salazzle. I thought Salazzle's design matched her very well, being this very lizard-like creature. I know that Salazzle is far from a tank. If anything, it's one of the most frail Pokemon ever. But I thought the design was a major part as to why I made Salazzle Susie. So the next character I'm going to talk about is Ralsei. I took a look at Meowscarada as an option. I really thought that the color scheme matched really well. The color of his scarf with Meowscarada's collar. So I ended up picking Meowscarada for Ralsei. Now Ralsei is a healer, but this Meowscarada is actually a Trick Room Meowscarada. This team is really weird. The next character that I'm including is a character that I'm sure everyone will know well. Wait, didn't I make this joke already? I was actually very close to making her Deerling because I wasn't really appealed by Stantler, but here she is as a Stantler. Obviously, she has the reindeer antlers that Deerling doesn't have. Hey, post-editing SkyLaaa here. Now, I mentioned Deerling, but I never mentioned Sawsbuck. I don't know how I managed to even do that. But Winter Sawsbuck is definitely also a great option for Noelle. You can make the argument that maybe Stantler fits more because it's a reindeer and Sawsbuck is just a regular deer. But I think both Pokemon have equal merits for being Noelle. I just thought I'd address that. The next character is Lancer, and I think that Lancer is a great fit for Squirtle. They're both practically built the exact same in terms of their body, their height, and they're both even blue as well. Now for the last slot on this team, I for the longest time had Golduck to represent Birdly. But then I remembered Spamton exists, and I thought to myself, is Spamton more popular than Birdly? I don't know. I ended up picking Spamton though, and of course I had to pick Porygon Z for him. It just feels like the best overall fit. So that's the team that I'm going to be using for this Deltarune Pokemon theme team. If you disagree with any of my picks, then please let me know in the comments below. And without further ado, let's just get right into the battles. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, lovely people. Today I am using a Deltarune team. Now this team was very interesting. Now I have 3 battles in this video because I was very indecisive. They were all very interesting to say the least. This battle especially was quite something. So I'm leading things off with my Air Balloon Salazzle. Now this is an offensive Salazzle. Of course I'm going to lead against a Galvantula, and if there's one thing I expect this Galvantula to do is set up sticky webs, but instead they paralyze me, which is equally annoying. Now I didn't really mind sticky webs because this team is centered around Trick Room. I have some pretty weird Pokemon on this team. Now, Kingdra is going to swap in. The Galvantula actually opts to Volt Switch, which is unfortunate. I kind of wanted them to go for Sticky Webs and purposely drop my my Pokemon speed. But I hit the Kingdra with the Flamethrower, and I actually end up getting a burn on it, which is pretty nice. I was like, okay, well, if it's a Dragon Dance Kingdra, it's definitely going to be neutered. But I wasn't really sure what to expect from this Kingdra because it's not in rain, but they end up being the Focus Energy crit set, so they're going to have 100% critical hits with the Scope Lens, and they're going to drop a Draco on me, and that is going to absolutely just one-shot. A critical hit, which is overkill, by the way. So there goes Susie, but I was able to get off a burn, and I was able to get the Galvantula down to its sash, and I never really liked fighting Galvantula. So, bringing in Chris. Now, this is one of my Trick Room Pokemon on this team. they're gonna go for the Flash Cannon. That's gonna take me all the way down to 1 health. And I thought, okay, well, I thought about going for Psychic this turn just to get the KO with Ralts, but I thought, well, I want to set up my Trick Room first and then like potentially go for a Psychic in case they want to stay in with their Kingdra. Now this set has Trick Room, it has Destiny Bond, it has Memento as well. So I thought here, well, they're gonna bring in the Klefki, and this is a Pokemon that's basically like a support Pokemon. It sets up like dual screen spikes. So I didn't think that they would fall for the Destiny Bond bait. So I just went for the Memento against the Klefki just to take myself out and also use as much Trick Room turns as possible. So that's going to take out my Klefki. I was expecting this Klefki not to use an attacking move, but it went for Draining Kiss. I was like, oh my gosh, I could have gotten a Destiny Bond KO against this really, really annoying Pokemon. This Pokemon was a pain. So bringing in my Porygon Z for Spamton. This is a Choice Specs Porygon Z. It has a decent speed stat, which makes it not as viable to run in Trick Room as Porygon 2. But I thought it was fun to run like no speed, quiet nature, Choice Specs Porygon Z. Now, I'm not sure what this Klefki is going to do, if it's like Thunder Wave or it revealed Draining Kiss. I really thought it was the Iron Defense, Calm Mind, Stored Power, Draining Kiss set, and I was really worried about that. So I brought in my my Stantler, but they end up going for Switcheroo, and they're going to give me a Choice Scarf, which I was not very enthusiastic about. So they're going to go for the Prankster Thunder Wave now that I'm paralyzed. This turn I thought, well, I want to set up my Trick Room against this. I get fully paralyzed by this. This Pokemon was seriously a pain. So they're going to go for the Foul Play. So they basically have Switcheroo, Thunder Wave, Foul Play, and Draining Kiss. So I was able to get out my Trick Room. This is a very defensive Stantler for Noelle. I'll talk about that set more in a bit. I'm bringing in my Porygon Z. Now, I'm going to speed up this part of the battle because this Klefki kept kissing me, but more so, it kept going for Switcheroo and Switcherooing away my Choice Specs. And I did not want my Choice Specs to be given to this Pokemon because its Draining Kisses will be doing some decent damage, and it would also get more recovery back from its Draining Kiss as well. So I went for the trick, and I was going to get back my Choice Specs, and so the Draining Kiss wasn't going to do as much, but it's still recovering an annoying amount of HP. And then the Klefki went for Switcheroo again, so we were basically playing like back and forth with our items, like, no, that's my item, you know? So obviously, I also did not want it in a Violite because I am not Porygon 2, I'm Porygon Z. So Draining Kiss does a lot of damage because it's Choice Specs, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna go for the trick this turn. I'm gonna get back my Choice Specs, and then I expect them to go for the Switcheroo again. So I'm gonna bring in my Stantler here, and that's gonna trick, it's gonna Switcheroo them their Choice Scarf back. Trick, Switcheroo, they're both the same move anyway. So they're gonna go for the Switcheroo again. That's gonna give me back my Violite. Now, this turn I thought, well, I'm not gonna go for the Trick Room. I'm gonna go for the Earthquake this turn. I have a Earthquake, Body Slam, Disable on this set. So I'm gonna get fully paralyzed again. I'm like, come on, I just wanted my Earthquake off. They're gonna go for the Foul Play. They have the, I have my Choice Scarf, but they have a Violite. Now, the Klefki is finally going to swap out. Now, I expected this Corviknight to swap in, which is why I made a double swap here into my Squirtle. Now, this is not actually a Trick Room abusing Squirtle. This is a Shell Smash Squirtle. Now, I have a Focus Sash on this, so I should be able to tank whatever this Corviknight goes for, if it's like Iron Defense Body Press or if it's Brave Bird. So I'm going to get all my stats increased. This is a Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, and Terra Blast Electric set on this. And Corviknight sets up Iron Defense. I was like, okay, that's actually really perfect because I don't get taken down to my Focus Sash this turn. So I'm going to Terrasilize into an Electric type. Now, Squirtle doesn't actually have the best special attack. Surprising, I know. But I thought here, okay, well, I should be doing a lot of damage, and Corviknight is actually a really big problem for my Meowscarada, especially since it's like my Meowscarada can't really do a lot to this. So that Terra Blast Electric does some really impressive damage though, and they are going to go for the Body Press, which is going to take me down to 1 HP. So I thought here, well, I'm just going to try to nab my KO against the Corviknight. They do stay in, which is great for my Meowscarada. So that's going to take out the Corviknight with a Terra Blast Electric, which is great. So there goes the Corviknight. Now they bring in Grimmsnarl. Now, I was worried about Fake Out from this Pokemon, but typically when I see Grimmsnarl, I think immediately it's going to set up like dual screens, right? Like Reflect, Light Screen. But they end up going for Parting Shot. Now, I expected them to go for Light Screen, which is why I went for a second Shell Smash this turn. I thought they would set up the light screen, and then I could be able to Shell Smash and still have and still do some good damage despite light screen being up. So that's going to give me more of an attack and special attack increase. I'm now at +3 special attack versus this Galvantula, and I'm just going to go for the Terra Blast Electric. I didn't want to miss my Hydro Pump versus this thing, and that's going to be able to take out the Galvantula. Now, this is good. I thought, okay, maybe their Grimmsnarl only has Parting Shot, and it doesn't have, light screen. So they're going to go for another Parting Shot. I was like, okay. I actually went for the attacking move this turn. I went for the Hydro Pump. This Grimmsnarl doesn't have Sucker Punch, clearly, or, faked out. They go into Skeletors, though. I was like, oh my gosh. That's their unaware Pokemon. It's going to take a lot of damage from this Hydro Pump, especially since I'm Torrent boosted, and then they forfeit. Oh my gosh. That was definitely a mistake to swap in Skeletors, but I can't believe Squirtle even caused that. What an absolute menace. That was a victory for Lancer. Holy smokes. That was a crazy. I don't include those types of battles often, but I had to. It was literally a Squirtle, right? So if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. I would really appreciate it. I spent quite a lot of time editing this video. The edited intros are gonna make a return now that I graduated. So Rillaboom is gonna lead off and go for the U-turn on my Ralts. I was kind of not hoping, but I was kind of expecting them to want to go for Grassy Glide turn 1, and that's why I went for the Destiny Bond, because then that would have forced the swap out on the Rillaboom. They did swap in their Glimmora, and I expect this Glimmora to obviously set up hazards, which they do. So this turn I decided to go for the Trick Room this turn. Now, I wasn't sure if this Glimmora was a Focus Sash. I feel like I've been seeing a lot more bulky Black Sludge Glimmora more than the Focus Sash lead Glimmora or Meteor Beam Power Herb, but they're gonna opt to swap out into Umbreon. Goody. So I went for the Psychic this turn just to break his Focus Sash. Now this is a menace of a Pokemon that I know that it's not gonna fall for my Destiny Bond, so I just went for the Memento this turn. Obviously, I want as many Trick Room turns as possible, and that's gonna be able to take out the Umbreon, which is good. It's not gonna take out the Umbreon, it's gonna take out me. What am I saying? But they are gonna go for the Toxic, which they definitely try to play around the Destiny Bond that I tried to do. So, bringing in my Meowscarada. Now, this is I didn't show Rouse in the last battle. He was kind of on the bench, but this is a Trick Room service Meowscarada. Now, unfortunately, they have another Corviknight of their own, and I thought Flower Trick under the grassy terrain would be doing a lot of damage, but this thing ends up coming in, which is very unfortunate. And I have Sucker Punch and Acrobatics with Room Service and Terra Flying on that set as well. So bringing in my Stantler here. Really, I wanted to set up the Trick Room again because I knew it was going to run out soon, and I really didn't have much I wanted to take this. Fortunately for me, it was a Brave Bird Corviknight instead of Iron Defense Body Press. So this turn I thought, well, it does have Body Press actually. Oops, never mind. It doesn't have Iron Defense though. So setting up the Trick Room. Now I do have Disable on this set, so I thought here, well, I have Disable, so I'm going to be able to disable this Corviknight's Body Press. I want to bring in my Porygon Z safely as well. I don't want to take a super effective Body Press from this Corviknight, so I'm going to bring in my Spamton. Now, this, like I said, this is Choice Specs with Download. I have Tri-Attack, Shadow Ball, Trick, and Thunderbolt with Terra Ghost on this Porygon Z. Now, Corviknight is actually going to opt to swap out into their Volcarona. I was like, okay, well, that's good. I could get up a strong hit versus this Volcarona, and with Choice Specs and with my special attack boost, it's really going to be doing a lot of damage. Now, Umbreon just took half, and with Leftovers Recovery, it was going to get very close, and if it had Protect, I was really worried about that. So, going for another Tri-Attack, that is thankfully enough to take out the Umbreon. I knew that was probably going to stall with Moonlight or something, so thank goodness I got the KO against that heathen. So, they're going to bring in the Rillaboom this turn. Now, I don't want to take a Grassy Glide from this thing at all, so I'm bringing in my defensive Stantler. Now this doesn't have max defense. It has some attack investment as well because I wanted to do as much damage as possible with this Stantler. They are going to go for the Wood Hammer. Holy smokes, that takes out Noelle. But I did get off an Intimidate against this against the Rillaboom. Now I'm going to bring in my Rouse here. I do have Acrobatics on this set. The unfortunate thing is that they have the Corviknight in the back that they can always swap into, but they end up going to the Glimmora. Now I went for the Trick Room this turn. I didn't want to just make zero progress against the Corviknight. So I also didn't want to hit this not Rillaboom, this freaking Glimmora physically, because obviously it has its Toxic Debris ability, which is going to always set up the Toxic Spikes. Now, they're going to go for the Acid Spray this turn as I bring in my Squirtle. Now, this turn I thought, well, my Squirtle is going to outspeed this in Glimmora. What? In Trick Room. Holy smokes, I'm messing up my narration so much tonight. I'm so sorry about that. But I do some good damage to it with the Hydro Pump, and I am able to break its Focus Sash in case it had a Focus Sash, but it doesn't. Well, I mean, it probably does. That was just a recovery from the grassy terrain. So, bringing in my Porygon Z. Now, I know nothing is really going to want to switch into me. I get another special attack boost too, so I'm going to go for a Tri-Attack. Even though it's resisted, I am able to just take out the Glimmora, which is nice. So, I'm going to get some grassy terrain recovery, and this turn they bring in the Corviknight. So, I was like, okay, I'm going to opt to Terrasilize this turn. I'm going to go for the Terra Ghost because Trick Room is going to run out the next turn. And I really, really want to take out this Corviknight for my Meowscarada. Because like I said, I really only have like... if I have Sucker Punch, it's like my dark move. And like... they could just roost recovery on my Sucker Punches. And like... they're never going to go for like an attacking move, I don't think. They would probably just want to go for the recovery, anticipating that they would live any hit. So they are going to go for the Brave Bird. The Trick Room runs out. I do take quite a heavy hit from that, and I'm going to go for the Tri-Attack and take out the Corviknight, which is good. I was like, okay, that's nice. But they still have some very problematic Pokemon, like this Volcarona. Now, this was pretty rough, because I didn't really have any switches into this, and my Porygon Z, I kind of had to sacrifice it. So I'm not going to be a big shot anymore with that turn, I guess. So, there goes my Porygon Z. Now, I have my Suzy here, which I left at full HP because I really wanted to save it for the Rillaboom in the back because it's like a 4x resist to it. Even though it's probably still going to take some heavy damage. But they go hard Rillaboom, so I was like, okay, that's fine. I went for the Sludge Wave this turn. This is a Sludge Wave Encore Salazzle as well, and I have a Flamethrower on this set too. So, I'm able to one-shot the Rillaboom, which is nice, but Blastoise is going to come in. Now, I wasn't sure if this was a Shell Smash sweeping Blastoise. They are going to get poisoned by Sludge Wave, which is nice because that's like a 10% chance. But they opt to Surf immediately. Now, at this point, I really wasn't sure what this Blastoise set was. I wasn't sure if it was Shell Smash sweeping, it might be max speed. But if it was like a support, like bulky Assault Vest Blastoise, and they probably had like max HP, it was going to be... I didn't know if this was like a speedy Blastoise or not. So they're going to go for the Ice Beam against my Meowscarada. I do tank that, and I'm going to go for the Trick Room. Now, if they're max speed timid, I outspeed them in Trick Room. But if they're max speed and they're modest, it's actually a speed tie. And judging by how they got the grassy terrain recovery first, I really wasn't sure. So they're going to go for the Ice Beam. Unfortunately, they outsped me in my own Trick Room. Oh my gosh, that's the flaw with Trick Room Meowscarada. But I kind of had to go for it, because otherwise, I wanted to Acrobatics the Volcarona in Trick Room and take it out. So that was basically my only play, was to rely on the Blastoise being slower, aka faster in Trick Room. I hope I was able to get that point across. Oh my gosh. Anyway, on to this third and final battle. Now, this Kleavor is such a pain to deal with, just in general. Holy smokes. So, they're going to bring me down to my Focus Sash, and they are also going to go for the Stone Axe. I kind of thought that this would most certainly lead, so I definitely wanted to lead with one of my my Focus Sash Pokemon. So, going for the Trick Room, and I thought, okay, surely I have to get a Destiny Bond. I was really worried about this Pokemon having like Quick Attack or Faint or something, because I've definitely seen that. But they are going to take me out with the Trailblaze. I was like, finally, I'm able to get a KO with this Destiny Bond Ralts, finally. And that's a really, really good Pokemon to get rid of as well. Especially since they were probably running like Focus Sash on that Kleavor as well. So, bringing in my Porygon Z now, and they're going to bring in their Glimmora. Now, this is a Mono Rock team, which is pretty interesting. And I thought here, well, I want to make use of my Trick Room turns as much as possible. I also get a special attack boost as well. So, I'm going to go for the Choice Specs Shadow Ball. It does some big damage. I even get a special defense drop as well. But they're going to opt to Mortal Spin, which is going to poison me. Now, I wasn't sure what this Glimmora was running. I definitely, like, maybe have, like, Toxic Spikes and, like, Spikes or something. But it's going to be the Black Sludge bulky Glimmora. So I'm going to take some poison damage. And I thought here, well, I'm just going to go for another Shadow Ball. But they're going to be Spiky Shield, which is unfortunate because that's going to stall out my Trick Room turns. I was like, come on, that sucks. And I'm also going to take more poison damage as a result of that too. But like I said, I really almost picked Birdly for this team, but after I checked the popularity rankings, I knew that I knew that Spamton was a lot more popular. I have a friend that actually cosplays Spamton as well, so I knew I had to put it on this team because Spamton is very popular and very quirky too. Even though this Porygon Z is not quirky nature, it's actually a quiet, which is kind of a not fitting nature for Spamton. So they're gonna bring in Garganacl. This Pokemon has Purifying Salt, which gives it a ghost resist. So I thought, well, I'm gonna bring in my Meowscarada. Now this Meowscarada is actually gonna outspeed, even with 0 speed investment, and even with Brave Nature, it's gonna be able to outspeed Pokemon like Garganacl, who's slow as molasses. So they're gonna go for Protect again. I'm like, come on, another Protect stalling Pokemon. Jeez. I'm gonna go for the Flower Trick though. They really don't have any switches to Flower Trick because they're Mono Rock. They are able to tank that, and they're gonna go for the Body Press. I'm running Overgrow instead of Protean on this Meowscarada as well, because since I'm going for Trick Room on this, I don't want to like Protean myself into a Psychic type whenever I go for Trick Room. So I'm going to take out the Garganacl with the Flower Trick, thankfully. So in comes Lycanroc Dusk. Holy smokes, this thing is a really big problem. I kind of wanted to sacrifice my Salazzle here because it's Mono Rock. I'm really not going to be able to do much to their team with this. And they go for Swords Dance on my swap. I was like, oh, that's rough. That's really, really rough. But I go for Encore, but I outspeed them, and that's going to lock them into Swords Dance. I was like, oh my gosh, I was really worried about them going for Accelerock. So at this point, I thought that, okay, maybe they don't have Accelerock. That being said, I really can't threaten them with much except for like Sludge Wave. But they're going to swap into their Rhydon instead of my Sludge Wave. So Rhydon with the Eviolite is not going to take anything from my Sludge Wave. Now, this turn I thought, well, I kind of really don't have much that wants to deal with this Pokemon. I'm just going to sacrifice my Porygon Z. I'm poisoned, and I really can't set up Trick Room really well. I wanted to preserve the health of my Stantler as well. So they are going to go for the Earthquake, which is unfortunate because I had an air balloon on my Salazzle, so maybe they didn't even see that. So I'm going to bring in my Meowscarada. This Pokemon has like no switch-ins, so I just went for the Flower Trick, and the Rhydon is going to get taken out easily. That 4-time super effective hit is going to do so much to it. So the Lycanroc is going to swap back in. Now, this turn I opted to stay in because I did not want this Pokemon setting up Swords Dance. But they do end up revealing Accelerock. I was like, oh my gosh, why did they not go for that sooner? Holy smokes. So that's nice because I'm able to get off a -1 attack versus this Lycanroc. Now, this turn, I thought I should be able to tank a close combat, but they have Psychic things. So I was like, okay, that's good that they don't have close combat. So they're just going to go for the Accelerock. It's not going to do much of anything. And I'm just going to go for the Double Edge. I mistakenly said Body Slam earlier. I forgot that I had Double Edge instead of Body Slam. So I'm going to take some very minimal recoil damage. And the last Pokemon is the Minior. Now, I know that this Pokemon is going to set up the Shell Smash. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go for the Trick Room this turn. That's going to twist the dimensions. And every Pokemon on my team should be able to outspeed this Minior. And it's also going to be really nice because even my Salazzle is going to get outsped in Trick Room from this. My Salazzle is going to outspeed this Minior at +2 speed thanks to the Trick Room. Oh my gosh, Trick Room is so confusing. Holy smokes. So I'm going to twist the dimension, which is good. I'm going to be able to get the upper hand on this Minior. And they're actually going to opt to Terrasilize their Minior. I was like, okay, well, they clearly want to go for that Terra Flying Acrobatics, which is going to be doing a lot of damage. It's going to definitely take me out for sure because it has a Shell Smash boost. But I actually went for the Double Edge this turn, which would have been resisted. But I actually get off a neutral hit, a strong neutral hit at that, which is really good. So the not Glamora, oh my gosh, the Minior is going to go for the Acrobatics. How many mistakes have I made throughout this entire narration? It's like a 20-minute narration. I was bound to make these kind of narration mistakes. But they are going to get taken down to their Shields Down form, which is good. I don't have to risk a Hydro Pump. I thought this turn, I could go for the Terra Electric this turn. And Lancer could go for a Terra Electric Terra Blast this turn. And that should be able to take out this this Minior, because when it's in this form, it's particularly very, very frail, right? So putting the light bulb on my head, and I'm gonna go for the Terra Blast Electric. That is easily gonna be enough to take out this Minior. That's the end of all 3 games. What a marathon video. But thank you all so much for watching. this Deltarune team. I put a lot of effort into this video, so you know, if you made it this far, I really, really, really appreciate it. Please leave a like if you haven't already, and please subscribe if you're new. My name is SkyLaaa. Don't forget to smile, and I will see you all next time.